In today's satsang, we are going to look into what is karma. We have been actually in our previous satsang going through Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi's Upadesa Undiyar, the first verse. The verse goes like this in Tamil. கண்மம் பயன்தரல் கர்த்தனது ஆணையால் கண்மம் கடவுளோ உந்தி பெற கண்மம் ஜடமதால் உந்தி பெற. He goes thoroughly into that nature of activity and explains beautifully what is the nature of it. The basis of any spiritual pursuit is generally discrimination between real and unreal. We are discerning what is real. Here, the word real, in what context it is being used. Real means authentic, intelligent, whether it is intelligent, whether it is forever. It should not be an appearing and disappearing thing. Because whatever a human being perceives through his senses, 5 senses and his intellect, the stored knowledge that is being processed by the intellect, everything falls within time and space. He is caught in time and space. The whole perceiver of any activity or anything, to perceive any manifestation, even the arisal of his thought or a sight, a scenery, anything one perceives, it's happening because of his presence of mind that exists during the waking state in an individual. Here, the exploration of the word karma goes very deep, and Bhagavan categorically explains to us that it is an innate thing. It has no intelligence on its own. It does not have any intelligence of its own, any activity that can be meant even for our thinking, the thoughts. We don't realize, just like things piled up in queue, one after the other, thoughts are marching in our mind, in our consciousness, personal consciousness, and makes ourselves somewhat comfortable and feel authentic also in a way that the thinking process itself is something intelligent. We have all the 5 senses to perceive things, feel, hear, taste, look. So all these perceptions, sensual perceptions, make ourselves someone as authentic and enjoys some sort of intelligent behavior or intelligent existence here in our day to day life. We do not realize that the whole of this structure where it disappears during our deep sleep. That is why whenever a thing or a state, an existence that is called as real, should never cease to exist. It should always be. Whereas the whole our planet revolves, day and night follow each other. Individual engulfed by deep sleep. One does not feel what he is, who he is, how he is, what kind of existence is the deep sleep, etc. In a way, right from our intellection, thinking, the way our memory works in us, the experiencing, the way of experiencing, the experiences we undergo and the way of experiencing and reaping the results. Maybe it is good or bad, pleasurable or painful. All dualities happen to a particular waking state, intellect, or the individual. Here, no one dissociates himself from his intellect. It is not one says that my intellect is deciding. One is behaving intellectually. One is living intellectually. Every moment, a basal confidence in the form of thinking, deciding, acting. Logically, living with convictions, beliefs, faith, over so many things. Everything is happening in the form of thoughts and thinking only. So, right from an individual angle and in the cosmical angle, whatever the appearances as the world per se that appears and during the deep sleep of our existence disappears. We are also actually introduced in the system having taken a birth in a particular society, family, with relationships, etc. Birth has not taken place willfully for anyone. One is not taking birth willfully in a particular family. For that matter, anything in this cosmos. Birth takes place. Birth is happening to a fake center. That also is being realized somewhere by a human being at the age of 4 or 5. He starts getting identified. The kid, the child starts identifying himself as that particular name and particular physical body. So until such time, it's only experiencing that was going on for each one of us, and there was no personal will operates when birth takes place, when one is born. So everything as if pre-planned, preordained has been happening all over the cosmos. That is how here in this verse the context of the word karma or activity is taken by Bhagavan. It is not an intelligent thing. Activity right from breathing, the circulation of blood, at the psychological level, thinking, remembering various experiences from our past. All these happenings, be it in the psychological, mental level or in the physical level, a movement of a subatomic particle, or the forces, energies acting at all planes, etc. They are all, in a predestined manner, have been operating here. Here, in this verse, Bhagavan explains minutely how the activity and what is the nature of activity, how far an individual has control over the results of an activity, etc. The very first line itself, he starts, Karmam payantaral kartanadu aanayal. Here, by the word karta, he meant that the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Intelligence, let us go scientifically, the one intelligence, that is what is the spiritual domain. Altogether, the spiritual domain is something beyond all this physical, psychological domain. That is existing beyond psychological and physical domains. So that spiritual domain, that intelligence, that only intelligence, under its lordship only, the results of actions, activities, karma are distributed, not according to an individual's will. That is the crucial point of this verse. What is our state of waking state living? How do we live? Every movement in us during waking state is motivated, self-serving, self-centered activity, perpetuating itself as that particular individual by name and form, by acquisitions, by knowledge, whatever the kind of things that happen throughout the waking state. For one, every one of us we identify ourselves with those actions as if we are the experiencer, we are the doer, we are the achiever. We seek a certain result out of a certain action. We aim for it. We are working for it. This is how our waking state existence moves on. moment to moment, what does our thought say? It is fully loaded with motives. It expects the very purpose or point in performing an action is to get a benefit, is to yield a particular result. This is the intention of any activity of anyone. Here he dissects, he discerns, Bhagavan discerns the nature of activity. Since it is not intelligent, actually the activity does not yield the result. It is only a mechanical reaction. Even the result, whether it is favorable or unfavorable for a particular action, that is awarded only by the supreme intelligence, that is under the domain of the Lord, the one intelligence. That is what Bhagavan, by drawing a line, that you as an individual in your waking state may seek and perform an action for getting a particular result. You have right to get a particular type of result for a particular kind of activity. You may seek, but whether it is awarded to you or not is not in your personal will at all. In other words, you are free to act. You are free to do a karma. Only that much freedom is given to you, not beyond that. You will be doing it motivated by your personal center to yearn for a particular result. But whether you are given with that result or not is not within your domain at all. Here we will have to go deeply into the nature of our activities or the motivated entity which does that activity. What is the nature of it? As I have been repeatedly telling, the whole waking state is a set drama, already written drama, already fully carved out storyline, a theme in which every scene, every frame, every movement of an individual, both at his psychological level and at his physical level, everything, not only for this lifetime, future lifetimes and the past which he underwent already, everything has been carved out, fully divined, fully defined. And that's what's happening. They are marching in queue for that individual. He has no say or control over the results that he is getting for a particular action, whether he will get in future. because it is not at all under his psychological domain at all. The whole psychological domain itself is a set, predefined. The moment one is born into a family, taking birth as a man or a woman, the kind of relations he is surrounded with, the kind of experiences he has to undergo, the kind of health, prosperity, virtues, everything is awarded only by the supreme intelligence, that lordship. The only Lord is the Karta. Here individual has no say, he has no power, it doesn't fall under his area at all to get a desired result. All the fruits of actions are awarded only by the intelligence. He is the Supreme Lord. All physical movements, including thought processes, they are also physical. When one is pursuing the spiritual path, at a particular point in time, you should categorically understand that what is the nature of spirituality and what is the nature of materiality. Matter, or the stuff called mind, which drives the matter to behave in a particular way. The invisible, undetectable by any scientific gadget, that mind, even that is a material movement. One has to clearly understand this by one's own self. On his own, one should understand this. The understanding cannot be taken from books or can be heard from others, from the outside world. These investigations one has to take upon oneself directly within one. Even a minute, in-depth understanding that happens to one takes him, relieves him, gives him a quantum relief. Arresting the wrong path or the wrong direction we have already taken, that itself save a lot of drainage of our energy as well as time, because we cannot get back the time that was lost already. Here the most precious thing in spiritual pursuit is physical chronological time. That is why I have been advising wherever, however, in whatever way one leads his life, the mind should always be turned within oneself to seek his source. Who is the thinker in me? Who is the actor in me? What are these actions? Aspiring, expecting, trying to fulfill physically, psychologically. It does not mean that we will have to stop acting while investigating about our own source. This can carry on uninterruptedly because it is a psychological quest about one's own origins. When one understands that karma is nothing but a movement in time and space, let it be at the psychological level or at the physical level, one is a product, one's birth, one's life is a product of those karmas only. Why am I born? Because those karmas demand my birth. They demand my birth. That is why I have taken a form. I will have to speak those things that are to be spoken by me. I will have to undergo those experiences that are to be experienced by me. Every minute movement from the subatomic level, thought level, to the gross physical actions. But the results of these actions, are we the controller of it? Are we the navigator of it? Are we the manipulator of those actions? Certainly not. That is the crucial answer that lies in this verse. Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi is the greatest scientist of the inner psyche and gone beyond the mind that is born out of time and space and has been a ruler of the spiritual domain. He is an avatar, a descendant of the supreme intelligence itself. Otherwise, such an in-depth understanding and the conveying of those things in a practically like a formula in a verse, stating the nature, existence of these subtle karmic activities that rule us, that rule our moment-to-moment existence. That is what is taking birth as individuals. That is what is experiencing all the experiences here. Here, in establishing this fact that the karmic activity does not have any sort of intelligence, it is not the Lord, it is not the ruler. Ruler is only the intelligence. This is an inert thing. It is happening mechanically. Already the slots are set. An individual only is moving towards that particular sort, he thinks that he is approaching it as an individual, and he does that activity, and he is expecting out of that activity by his motive certain result, etc., are all his own confused way of understanding the nature of karmic activity. This is not the truth. What is given here by Bhagavan? See clearly. If you are doing an activity, the propeller of that activity is your motive, your thought process, your past experience. That past experience drives one to seek more, to get more, to know more. That drives his present moment to get the expected result according to his past experience. That is what is the pursuit of our moment-to-moment living. Whereas everything is already laid out by our own confused way of understanding, not realizing that karmic activities are unintelligent. They are not the ruler. They do not have any power to award a particular result, to yield a particular result. This is totally not understood by us. That is why we have been in this chain of constant cause and effect chain, taking the activities to be real, and we are always attaching ourselves in the doing mode, psychologically or physically, involving ourselves in activities, seeking, driven by the results of those actions. Whereas actions, activities do not have any say over the results. Results of any activity is not at all left with the individual level. The individual does not hold the control or say over the results of actions. Only the Lord rules. The Lord is an autocrat. That is how he rules. In Purusha Suktam, there is one statement they give. Saha Arihi, Saha Indraha, Saha Shivaha, Saha Paramaswarat. Paramaswarat means supreme ruler. He alone is the supreme ruler. He decides. Even for an ant, it might be crawling, it might be walking throughout hours, throughout days, but getting a food on its way, it is destined only by the Lord. You may be in a very, very hard way trying to achieve a particular result, initiating actions in a particular way vigorously to attain a particular result. But the results are not determined or happening out of your motivations or your performance of initiating actions. Only the Supreme Lord rules the results, the amount of results, the kind of results, because it is only His domain that prevails. Right from the falling of a star, birth of a cell, subatomic particle, the movement of a subatomic force, anything and everything is only His domain, the spiritual domain. The Supreme Lord alone is intelligent. Our thoughts are not intelligent at all. That is why the results are not controlled by our own thoughts. However perseverantly one may try to do an action, to complete an action to get a desired result, but still the result is not under the domain of his activities, nor under his motives. It doesn't fall under one's control or domain at all. It is only the Lord, the Supreme Intelligence, awards the results. This is what is given in this verse. But some exceptions have taken place. Like when one out of his karma, prarabdha karma, and by the grace, even attaining jnana is by the grace of that Lord. He controls He removes the karmic activities of one and makes his mind pure, so that the inner seeing becomes penetrative and one is able to directly look at the kind of existence. What is the kind of existence is one undergoes, full of karmic activities, and realizes the fact directly that activities do not take one to salvation or freedom. Thereby, those activities are controlled by the Lord Himself. That is what is actually grace. Doing millions of activities without break, praying for millions of years, chanting mantras, everything is a mechanical activity. At the motive level or at the physical level of chanting. What is needed is the same karmic activities by the Lord's grace, when they are quenched or satiated and completely stopped, then wisdom dawns to one. That is also again by the Lord's grace only. He, by His grace only, reveals Himself. Whether be it ignorance or understanding, wisdom also happens only by the Lord's grace. Only that supreme intelligence prevails, nothing else actually. All the more we should realize immediately, be it at the psychological level, intellectual level, or at the gross physical level, activities do not relieve one. Realizing the fact that activities are inert, unintelligent, they do not have any lordship by themselves, this realization paves the way and takes one to the inner sanctum sanctorum. That is what is jnana, understanding, that lies in the spiritual domain of the Lord. Even this realization happens only by the grace of the Lord. He started revealing himself to me. That is why I am able to understand. It is not because of my effort in understanding, because all my efforts, psychological efforts, thinking efforts, intellectualizing efforts, be it of any nature, of any kind, they are all unintelligent things. They actually do not carry us to the other shore, the spiritual shore. Only His grace. For this, we should earnestly seek, sincerely look within ourselves as to what is the nature of this thought process. Who is the doer? Who identifies with actions? Who wants results? Who wants to achieve what? Fundamentally, who is he as a name and form in this body? This is the real quest to which Bhagavan directs us. Look within your own self. The nature of activities that happen at the psychological level or at the results level, the effects level. Has it happened by you or by the Lord? This is what Bhagavan has clearly in an essay fundamentally has established and clearly defined about the nature of karma and about the supreme intelligence also in this verse. With this, we will end. We will meet in our next satsang.